Honorable Governor, Madhya Pradesh, Ram Naresh Yadav ji, distinguished Chief Ministers, Madhya Pradesh, Sri Shivraj Singh Chauhan ji, Professor D.P. Agarwal, Chairman UPSC, V. Narayan Swamy, Union Minister for Personnel and Public Grievances, Professor Lakshmikant Sharma, Minister Technical Education, Training, Government of Madhya Pradesh, Sri Mahendra Hardia, Minister of State for Technical Education and Training, Government of Madhya Pradesh, Suresh Pachuri, former Union Minister, Professor Piyush Trivedi, Vice Chancellor, Rajiv Gandhi Pradyogiki Vishwavidyalaya, members of the Academic Council, Executive Council, faculty, recipients of degree, awards, medals, distinguished guests, beloved students, ladies and gentlemen. At the very outset, I would like to express my deep gratitude and appreciation for inviting me to deliver the 9th Convocation Address of this distinguished technical university established by the state government of Madhya Pradesh. You have started your journey not long ago, but in this short period, you covered a long distance. 219 engineering institutions, 99 pharma colleges, 46 computer institutes, 5 architectural colleges, spread over the state over this short span of time. Large number of outgoing students, including recipients of PhD degrees, speak well of your beginning. I wish you all success in your long journey. University is an institution is not for today only, it is for tomorrow, for many, many, many more tomorrows. Therefore, all the stakeholders, members of the faculty, students, ex-students who are associated with this great institute will have to keep in mind many more miles they will have to cover in their long journey. Today, when we talk of the higher education, on the one side of the spectrum I find there has been a phenomenal expansion, physical expansion of educational infrastructures. Right now today, when I am addressing before you, there are 659 degree awarding institutions, universities or deemed universities, 33,000 colleges, 2 crore 60 lakh students enrolled in the higher education at the end of the 11th five-year plan, which is likely to reach 3 crore 60 lakhs by the end of the next 5 years. This is one side of the picture. On the other side of the picture, when I look at very recently, an international rating agency have given gradation to the world-class universities around the world. Out of 200 top-grade institutions in the world, I find there is no mention of a single Indian university. Out of 16 IITs, no IIT. Out of 15 NITs, no NIT. Naturally, like all of you, I also feel sad. It comes to my mind, that was not the situation. In the past, not a year, not even a decade, over centuries, higher education was dominated by the Indian universities. 325 years before the birth of Christ, the university located at Takshashila, currently known as Takshashila, located in Pakistan, that was the confluence of four civilizations: Aryan civilization, Persian civilization, Greek civilization, Chinese civilization. In those days, when there was communication extremely difficult, no jet plane, no automobile, no steamship, but students from all over the world used to come to those universities at Takshashila. It was not one. There were Nalanda, Bikramshila, Udantpuri, Sombihar. Nalanda was established in 575 BC, AD. It was destroyed in 13th century AD. Long before the establishment of Oxford, Al-Azhar of Cairo, first Western University, Bologna in Italy, not to speak of Harvard, Cambridge, MIT, Columbia, which came much later. Therefore, in past we could do. Why can't we do in today? Is there lack of merit in us? Lack of talent in our students? Lack of inspiring teachers? No, there is no such lack, no such scarcity. It is unfortunate that when India was not free, in the 1930s, in colonial era, Indian scientist C.V. Raman, while teaching in the Calcutta University, could obtain Nobel Prize in Physics. But after 83 years, no Indian university has produced a Nobel laureate. It is not that there is no talent in the Indian students. 4 Indian graduates who have obtained their graduation degree from the Indian universities, doing research in the fundamental areas. 3 of them obtained Nobel Prizes in science subjects, and 1 of them obtained the Nobel Prize in economics. Therefore, the short point which I am trying to drive at, yes, we want quantity, we want physical expansion, we want enrollment in the higher education should be much more. I am aware of the fact that in the age group of 18 to 24, our enrollment in higher education is 7% compared to 21% in Germany, 34% in USA. But equally, we want quality. Both quantity and quality are the need of the hour. When we talk of the knowledge-based education, knowledge-based society, knowledge-based economy, these are just not phrases. This convey very strong sense how we can build our economy on the basis of knowledge. We shall have to emphasize on research and innovation. I do not find any reason why each university cannot start the innovation club, cannot start the innovation culture, because innovation is the mother of development, progress of development. If knowledge is power, knowledge practical applications comes through innovation. Very recently I had the privilege of having interaction with the Vice Chancellors of the Central Universities in a conference. I suggested to them that please take the initiative. Identify one department of yours, one program in your university. Try to build up as a center of excellence. Try to inculcate the innovation culture. Encourage the students, faculty members to establish linkage with the grassroots innovators. Abundantly they are available in various strata of society. They require patronage, they require support, they require mentoring. And it is possible. It has happened all over the world, not through the state initiatives, but in the initiatives taken by the people, by the universities, by the industry. When we talk of the private-public partnership, it is not merely confined to the industrial units. It should be confined to many more areas. It should embrace many more areas. There should be industrial incubation to encourage the grassroots level innovators. I was really surprised when during my recent visit to two central universities in UP and Assam, I found that they have established innovation club. They have established linkage with the grassroots innovators, and industry has also contributed, and there has been a nexus. They are doing excellent job. It is possible. Therefore, I urge upon this university, which has made phenomenal expansion since this journey began, but you must achieve more. To one point, I would also like to draw your attention. Very recently, we noticed that as a nation, as a society, perhaps we have lost our moorings. We have lost our civilizational values. India is one country. From the very beginning of its civilizational journey, it taught dignity of women, respect for women, safety and security for the women. They are considered as sources of power. I am glad that you have taken initiative to start certain programs for empowerment, safety and security of the women. But we must inculcate our old civilizational values. Old civilizational values. Respect your women, your elders. Be tolerant. Be sincere. Be honest. Be dedicated. Be committed. You are not merely for yourselves. You are for all. The old gurus, at the end of the teaching period, the parting advice which they used to give to their graduates, it was a long advice. But I would like to repeat only 3 ingredients of that advice, which speak of the essential ingredient of our civilizational values. Satyang vada, dharmang chara, swadhyaya ma pramodaho. Be righteous, be truthful, remain firmly committed to your own conviction. While speaking on education, Mahatma Gandhi told, what more valuable book could be than the book of life, book of humanity? When you start your journey, in every page of your life, you learn. You have learned skills, you have acquired knowledge, you have shown your proficiency. Because of your academic excellence, you have obtained degrees. And when you are leaving the portal of your alma mater, entering into the outer world, it is quite natural on this occasion you will feel that perhaps you are alone. There will be no more advice of your teachers, guidance of your seniors, patronizing care of your alma mater. You will have to take decision on your own. But don't be nervous. Don't feel second. The skill which has been injected in you, the confidence which has been injected in you, the courage and conviction which have been instilled in you will stand you well, guide you to face the wave of challenges which you will face in your working life. I would like to conclude by my observations with an appeal to you that when you are going out of this campus to face the challenges of the real life, please remember a part of your achievements are not solely because of you, but because of the contribution of society which has built up this institution, which have engaged the teachers, which have provided you the facilities, and you have some obligation towards that society, towards the country which have invested in you. Please remember that. I wish you all success in your onward journey. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Jai Hind.